welcome to another Read It or Unholy to Reading challenge. I'm not going to sleep tonight. This is a DNF. We are going to this chocolate bar. Everything is blooming in Boston. Let's just finally get to reorganizing my bookshelf. I don't know, what's the lesson there? Because it was boring. Welcome guys to New York City. I'm sick. I look like a raccoon. Hi guys, how are you all doing? Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. And welcome back to the second part of this massive spring TBR takedown vlog that I am filming. You gotta go and check out the first vlog, the first part. I will leave the video in the description box down below. Otherwise, things that are happening in this one, in the second one, are not necessarily going to make sense. Okay, but in that vlog we left it off with the newest Emily Henry release, Great Big Beautiful Life, and I actually finished this book and I have so much to tell you guys about this book. Let's first discuss the things that I didn't really like and the things that I didn't really agree with, because ultimately this was not a very positive reading experience for me, but I also have a lot of good things to say about this book. Okay, now when it comes to new releases, you guys all know that I really like to read new releases, and usually I like to read them before the initial reviews come out and before they get to me, and I am really curious to see what other people will think about this book, especially the romance girlies out there, because I don't really read that many contemporary romances, but usually I pick up Emily Henry books and they are always a hit and miss for me, and this particular book I don't like. I think that this is my least favorite from her. And if I had to rank her books, and I can do it because they are here. Oh, can you guys see it? Funny Story is definitely the one that I adore from her the most. Then People We Meet on Vacation. Then Beach Read, Book Lovers, and then Great Big Beautiful Life is the last one. I have not read Happy Place yet, but there's a chance that I will do it in the summer because I need an Emily Henry fix, and this book was not it. And why is that, you may ask? Because it was boring. It was boring and predictable. I saw everything coming. And not because I'm so like, I'm so smart and whatever, no, but it is because this book is so insanely similar, and I cannot believe that I'm saying this, and I feel like I'm going to regret saying this, but this book is so insanely similar to The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo that because of that book and because I read that book, I kind of like suspected certain things that were coming in our way in this book. And I think that there was one thing that surprised me, but again, otherwise I saw everything coming. And I don't like to do this. I don't necessarily like to compare books, and especially when it comes to Taylor Jenkins Reid and Emily Henry, massively successful authors, beautiful writers, and I just don't like necessarily think that we should compare them. Like, they can definitely exist and be successful next to each other, but I just cannot help it, and I want to be honest with you guys that the similarities were striking. I personally feel that the biggest weakness of this book was definitely Margaret and Margaret's story, because it was insanely boring. I did not care for it because I couldn't connect with her as a character. I really liked her humor because she has a very dry humor, and I like dry humor, but I couldn't care for her as a character. And because of that, I didn't care for her story, but we got a lot of her story, and I was like, oh my god, this is so boring. I just wanted to skip chapters, and I don't do that. The moment I feel that I need to skip chapters in a book, I just DNF the book and I just leave it there. But honestly, I didn't want to DNF this book because simply, again, I just want to be honest, simply because it's an Emily Henry book, and once a year I want to read her books. And I have to admit that by the end I got actually really angry with this book because she pulled something similar in one of her other books, People We Meet on Vacation, and that book, that was reading as a 5-star book to me up until the end when the conflict happened, and I was like, this is the stupidest conflict that I've ever read in a contemporary romance book. And that's the same that I felt in Great Big Beautiful Life, because when we got to the conflict, I was like, this is one of the stupidest things I've ever read in a contemporary romance book. Like, what are we talking about? And I cannot forgive her for this. Like, when she just, at the end of the book, when she pulls something like that, like in these two books, I just got so mad, and I was like, thanks God that we are finishing off the book, because I would DNF this book. If it was not the end, I would DNF this book. Despite all of this, there were a couple of really good things to this book. I actually really enjoyed the romance in this book, and Emily Henry definitely tried something new here. At least that's how I think, that's how I see it, because in this book the romance was kind of like just like a subplot, because Margaret and Margaret's story was so important in this book that the romance was kind of like not in the forefront. And it's not enough that the romance was kind of like a little bit on the back burner, but also it was not like, you know, a very horny romance. Emily Henry is really good with like building connection between her characters, right? And I also felt that that was there in this book, but the romance was a little bit fast for me. Like, I remember we got to like chapter 20, it was around chapter 20, and the female character was already like, oh my God, like, you are perfect and I am in love with you and you are everything to me. And I'm like, we're kind of like 50% into this book and you have not even communicated that much with this guy. So what are we even talking about? I don't know why she did this. Maybe she's again trying to branch out and just want to try new things and experiment with new things, and that's fine as long as your book is not boring. And this was so boring. But again, this all being said, there were some beautiful quotes in this book, and probably I will get the paperback because I took notes in my phone and I know exactly what quotes I'm talking about and in what chapter. And when I have the physical copy, probably I will look up those quotes. I am kind of still in the new release mode, so I think I will continue with the Unworthy. We will also reorganize my bookshelves and my little reading nook. Probably that will be the next clip. And also we are going to New York. Now, I don't know just yet if I finish the Unworthy before we end up going to New York or why I am on my way to New York, but we are definitely finishing it in this video. So now let's get to organizing and cleaning, and then we will continue with the reading. Guys, let's just finally get to it. Let's just finally get to reorganizing my bookshelf, my books, my little reading nook. And when we are done with it, I'll also give you just a very quick reading corner tour. And we will start this whole process with putting away my 2024 books, because they are just like sitting there in the corner, piled on top of each other, and this is not a good look. This is not a good look. But the problem is, let me share my little conundrum here. The problem is that the bookshelf that is behind me is just cannot take any books anymore. So I need to come up with another system, and I've been thinking about it for a long time, because I think I will need to put my book collection maybe into another room. I don't have enough space for like a home library. I don't have a separate room for a home library, but maybe I can like put it into the bedroom or the dining room or whatever. But I don't really want that, because I really like the idea of expanding on my little book collection here and creating like a proper reading nook for myself. So that is basically what I will attempt to do in this video, and I will like show you everything, and I will tell you exactly what problems I have, because maybe you guys will be able to help me out and give me some ideas. But that is what we will try to do in this video. And if I like the look, then maybe during the summer I will get into making a proper reading corner for myself. But I don't want to get ahead of myself too much. So let's just start with getting all my 2024 books sorting them, reorganizing them, and then we go from there.
Empty hearts and neon lights, they're playing with my mind. Gotta get out of here tonight. Oh, I wanna run off and fly.
Ideally, in the future, if this is something that works and I like it, this is where I would like to put 2 smaller bookshelves and then just put the armchair in front of the smaller bookshelves. But the problem is this area, and now that the armchair is not here, you guys can see it, that I like to find 2 smaller book chairs that are the correct height, so I can basically fit them here, but also bookshelves that would perfectly align with the bookshelf that I already have. Bookshelves that have a little bit of space between the first shelf and the floor, because I really like to use those for storage. And also I would really like the shelves to align, and it's very hard to find smaller bookshelves. I contacted the same company, they don't have any, so it's very hard to find bookshelves that have the exact same height so that the shelves themselves could align, otherwise that would like really annoy me. But also on the other hand, the armchair, if I put it here in the corner, the armchair would probably like, you know, cover where the bookshelves touch. But before I buy the bookshelves, because they are pretty expensive, the ones that I found that are, well, at least they seem to be like the same height with multiple shelves and the same shelf height itself, they're very expensive. So before I buy them, I just wanna line up the books here. They're not exactly here because again, this is where the armchair will be, but I want to line up the books here, and if I like the look, then maybe I will decide to invest into those bookshelves, or maybe if I like the look, then I will just keep piling up the books on the floor. So we'll see. First, I will get the hardbacks out because these are the ones that are super heavy, super sturdy, and these will be the base for the books that I just keep piling up. So that's what we will do first, and then we start organizing the books against the wall, or whatever this thing is.
Just to find somewhere that finally feels like home. Oh, oh, oh. I hate all this overthinking. Oh, 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 oh. The more I swim, the more I'm sinking. Take me to a world of silver. No more heartbreaks, tears, painkillers. Take me somewhere unfamiliar. Bring me back to where we started out. Get me out of now. To where we started out. Get me out of now. To where we started out. La 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 la. Oh, oh. Get me out of broken hearts and starting fights, turning truth to lies. Gotta get up, stop wasting time. Yeah, I wanna run off and fly. And I'll tell myself it's fine.
Welcome guys to New York City! I don't want to scream because it's like really early in the morning and I don't want to wake up the people in the other rooms. But we are in New York City and we are continuing the vlog from here. I love this city. I'm not sure that I could live here, but I really like to visit New York City for like a couple of days. I am here for the weekend. I am here because I have 2 appointments. But I will have some leisurely time, I will have some downtime so I can enjoy the city, and also I can enjoy some reading, especially on the train ride, because the train between Boston and New York is incredibly long, especially with the delays that we are dealing with. So I brought 2 books with me on this journey, and the very first one, and I'm just gonna do a super minimalistic skincare because I am using some samples. I only travel with a hand luggage this time, and I didn't have space to pack a lot of things. I couldn't pack my skincare and I couldn't pack my books. I have audiobooks with me, and because of my hand luggage, we also cannot really do any book shopping. Not that I need any more books, like that is why this video is for, to try to reduce my insane TBR a little bit, so we don't necessarily need to replenish that. We're not gonna go to any places that is tempting to me, okay? I just wanted to flag you guys. Anyways, so the 2 books that I brought with me, audiobooks again, I should say, and hindsight, I don't think that these books are the best in audio version, but anyways, these are the ones that I have. One of them is The Unworthy by Agostina Costa Rica. This is her newest release, and I think I already introduced this book to you guys, but this is basically from the author who wrote Tender is the Flesh, and that book, so good. It's one of my all-time favorite fiction books, and I never read the short story collection that she published because I just simply didn't know about it. But I definitely want to read this newest book from her because this takes place in a dystopian world. I believe that we are post-apocalyptic, and we are in a cult, and it seems like that this book got everything that I will absolutely adore. So this is the first book that we are reading, and I am 50% into this book. And what I have to say is that while the audiobook is great, what I realize is that sometimes, and it's gonna make sense in just a minute, but sometimes the author or the narrator leaves sentences unfinished, and in the physical copy it is crossed out, and in the audiobook version it's just an unfinished sentence, and then we start a new sentence, a new paragraph, whatever, just out of nowhere, and it can be a little bit confusing. And the whole book is a little bit confusing. I think I just started this book like maybe 3 times on the train because I was like, I don't understand. I have absolutely no idea where we are and what's happening, but in general, this book is very confusing because there is little to no world building. So you are experiencing the whole book without context, or at least in kind of like the first 50%. But in this book, basically, just like I said, we are in a post-apocalyptic world because we had a huge climate crisis and a huge climate collapse. And I think I'm gonna put just another layer of toner on because I am easily dry. Anyways, our female narrator, but we don't know her name, she's living in a convent, and this is a convent of the House of the Sacred Sisterhood, and it's based on kind of like a caste system, and she is in the lowest caste, the unworthy. They can definitely ascend, but I'm just not sure that in this world it's particularly worth it, because the higher your rank, the more torturous things they do to your body. Like they cut out your tongue, and they take out your eyes, and they pierce your eardrums so you cannot see, hear, talk, and in general there is a lot of torture in this book that is graphically depicted. So if this is something that you absolutely cannot take, don't pick up this book. There are like times like listening to this book when I'm just like, ooh. And I think that again, that is what, well, obviously the author intended for the message, because I think I can only think that I get the commentary and I get the message of this book, though again we are only like 50% in, and it feels like that the story is starting to pick up just now, and I think I understand what's happening, and I think I get it why the author is doing it, but it is definitely again graphically depicted. There is a lot of torture and a lot of like I was gonna say violence, but I would just say a lot of torture against these women who are in this convent, basically. And the book itself is a story that is this female narrator is writing to us, specifically the readers, but it is something that she's doing in secret, because if it got out, then she would definitely got punished. It's very interesting, and I in general enjoy this book, but it is not an easy read. If you want to read it, I would say read it physically and definitely set aside like an afternoon or something where you can just solely focus on this book, because it's not easy to understand. Then there is The Flesh, wasn't like this. That was such an easy book, and I flew through it, but not this one. But you know, like, it's not a problem. Like sometimes, like every now and then, reading a challenging book that's really like, you know, makes your brain work, it's not a problem. This is just not something that I expected, that's all. But things are picking up, and I have high hopes for the second part of the book, and also just in general for the ending of this book. So can you tell I'm in New York City? All the noises out there, though it's kind of like the same in Boston. Honestly, I hear less sirens here in New York City than in Boston. And also, and this is something that actually makes me so sad, like the other day I was outside walking around, whatever, doing my business, and I realized that the drivers here in New York City are so nice. They actually allow you to cross the street, you know, and they don't look at you, they don't yell at you, there is no rage. And that's like New York City. So you guys, if you've never been to Boston, like, you can imagine how bad Boston is in terms of traffic, especially for pedestrians, also for drivers, but especially for pedestrians. If I am actually at awe when it comes to the New York traffic and the New York drivers, okay? That's all I'm gonna say. And this is something that's making me like really sad. We definitely have room to improve in Boston, okay? That's all I'm gonna say. So the other book that I started on the train, that is Everybody in This Room Will Be Someday Dead by Emily Austin, and I only read like a couple of chapters in this book, so not much I can say about it other than I am so far absolutely loving it. And just like The Unworthy, this is written in a style that is a little bit hard to understand, because we are jumping from one paragraph to another, from one thought to another. But again, this is something that the author is doing intentionally, because our character, who is Gilda, she is an incredibly morbid and incredibly anxious and panicky person. Like, she has panic attacks all the time because of her anxiety. And it's just so funny to follow her, because again, she just jumps from one thought to another and one sentence to another, and she is like, again, morbidly kind of like obsessed with the idea that, you know, we're all gonna die one day. And it is insanely funny. And she lost her job. That's basically, just as a context for the book, she lost her job at a bookshop because she finds it very hard to focus. She is like struggling with burnout. She's like struggling with a lot of things. I think that a lot of us in today's world can actually identify with the character of Gilda, but you definitely have to have patience with her, and also patience in general with this book. Anyways, so she lost her job at a bookstore because she couldn't focus, whatever. She forgot to go to work for like 5 days. And now she's not doing that great financially. Also, like, her parents and her brother is like, you know, a little bit questionable. Anyways, and she saw a flyer for free therapy, and she went there, and then it turned out that it was actually from a church, from a Catholic church, and she got a job offer, and she took it because she needs the money. But she likes to tell us that she's actually an atheist, and she is part of the LGBTQ community, so she's like, do I have the right to be here? And she somehow becomes a little bit obsessed with her predecessor's death, because she's like suspicious about certain things. I love Gilda and I absolutely love her noisy brain, and just like I said, I feel that so many of us can actually identify with her, especially like in today's world. I find it very funny, very funny. I absolutely adore her character and I cannot wait to continue this book. I hope that I will love it. Just like I said, sometimes it's a little bit hard to follow because we jump around, because we basically follow her thoughts and her thoughts are all over the place, okay? So you definitely gotta have a little bit of patience with her, but I really like it so far. But what is late? I'm like 5-7% in, so we'll see how it goes. I hope that I will be able to finish both of these books either while I'm in New York or maybe while I'm on the train home. So in the next clip, probably I will pop back in and update you guys about these two books. And in the meantime, just enjoy this little b-roll that I will be filming for you here in New York City. I just wanted to show you guys, because I have a full-length mirror in this room, that sometimes I do put on normal clothes, okay? It's not always just pajamas and leggings and workout clothes and whatnot. I actually do wear normal clothes. Can you guys hear the birds singing? It's so beautiful. Guys, as you can see, I am back to Boston and I have a little bit of updating to do because I finished both of these books, The Unworthy and also this one, Everybody in This Room Will Someday Be Dead. And I freaking adored both of these books. So let's just talk about them. And I want to start with The Unworthy because I feel like I have in general a little bit more to say about this book than this one. Now, I personally love this book. And I feel like I definitely have to pick up the author's short story collection because I kind of feel like that her books just work for me. Tender is the Flesh was an absolutely perfect book, and this one to me was also just an absolutely perfect book. Now, in both of her books, she creates these incredibly dark, futuristic worlds and societies. And every time when I read her books, and it's a very immersive experience for me because the worlds that she creates, they definitely freak me out. I am really scared of that actually happening to humans, and I have faith and I have hope in humanity. We definitely have the intelligence to turn this around. But when I read her books, I'm like, you know what? I can actually definitely see these things happening to humans and specifically happening to women in the future. And I'm just like, we gotta do better collectively as humanity. I feel like that we gotta do more and we gotta do better. And every time when I finish her books, I mean, again, just two books, but when I finished these two books, that was the main message to me. It's just do better, be better. Now, I gotta say that the writing in this book and the entire book is actually very disorientating, and it remained disorientating in the second half of the book as well. But when I finished the book, I actually fully understood why, because I feel like that with this type of writing, the author just tried to mimic the thoughts and the psyche of the narrator, so it actually makes perfect sense. But I stand by my opinion that I shared with you in the previous clip, that this is actually not a very easy read, and I would read it physically if I could like redo the whole thing again. Now, I really enjoyed the commentary in this book. Again, the world is very, very dark, and I definitely do not want to live in a society like this, but I definitely enjoyed the commentary in this book. And the commentary was basically, well, one part of it was about religious fanaticism. And this was interesting to me because I didn't know. I actually finished this book on the train ride home, and we were like super late, and I didn't have anything to do, so I hit up interviews with the author. And I didn't know, but I found it in one of these interviews that she went to a Catholic school that was run by German nuns specifically, and I don't know what it means, whether the school was in Germany or it was in Argentina, and it was just run by Catholic German nuns. I have no idea. But she said that that experience definitely inspired this book because, and again, I just want to quote her, she described the school as a place where all your classmates controlled you, and I controlled them, creating a panoptic system of surveillance and control. Definitely in the book. But it was not just a commentary about religious fanaticism. And again, it just blows my mind when authors can do this, especially in like such a short book. But there was like so much commentary in general. And just like Tender is the Flesh, this book is also a big commentary on the patriarchy. In this book, there is a man, and he is the only man in this society, and he is kind of like a godlike creature, and basically he is the one who is the patriarchy in this book. He does not tolerate any other man. So if a man finds this group of people, they basically like, they delete them. So it's the women and him. And again, basically he is the patriarchy in the book who's doing nothing else but controlling women and making women control other women, basically making them hate each other because we are afraid of female agency, intelligence, potential, and strength. And one big commentary in this book, and I feel like that's why this book hit me, because this is something that always makes me so sad, and we just really need to dive deep and understand why and how this is happening exactly. But when women control women, when women bring down other women, basically just to uphold the patriarchy, I absolutely 100% recommend this book. This is a fantastic book, but I can only repeat myself. Set an afternoon aside and probably read it. Maybe you will be able to read it in one sitting. It's absolutely mind-blowing. Now, when it comes to the second book in this little update, I don't even know what to say, because this was such a great book, but I am struggling and I am questioning myself whether I should recommend it or not, because this is a very unique reading experience. I mean, kind of like both of these books are very unique reading experiences, and this is also written in kind of like a messy way, but again, our narrator is a person who is very messy. She is incredibly anxious and incredibly paranoid, and she has such a noisy brain, and we are just following that. Like basically in this entire book you are in the brain of this character, and I personally adored it. I borderline loved being in the head of Gilda, and there were times in this book when I laughed out loud because I found her character very funny. And I recommend, but know that this will be a very unique reading experience. And honestly, I cannot wait to pick up the second book of the author. I'm looking at my card. Interesting facts about space. But again, I feel like that I'm gonna read the physical copy and not necessarily the audiobook, because we are like all over the place. I adored it. And I adored Gilda. So these two books were absolute success, and that makes me so happy. And the two other books that we are continuing this vlog with, Dress and also Persuasion. Both of these books are incredibly spring coated, and finally, I mean, can you just like this? Look how gorgeous green this is, but also can you like look at the inside of, how beautiful is this? And both of these books are incredibly spring coated, and now that the weather is amazing, I can also read outside. I cannot wait to actually go outside and read outside. I expect to love both of these books. There is absolutely no way that I would hate on Jane Austen. That is just not possible. And also considering the emotional connection that I have between me and Persuasion, I know that this will be a win. And also, Brandon Sanderson. Okay? I have high expectations. When I am done with these two, I will pop back in and we continue the vlog from there. We are continuing with pajama fashion in today's video, guys. These pajamas are so insanely comfortable, very expensive, but at least comfortable. I basically want to wear them all day, every day. Is that possible? Because I cannot go to work in pajamas yet. Maybe one day. What am I talking? What am I even talking about? I am here to talk about these books and not fashion, and especially not pajama fashion. Anyways, guys, I finished Persuasion and I also finished Dress of the Emerald Sea. First, I want to talk about Persuasion, and it was a hit. It was a hit, and the reason why I am showing you two books is because I want to show you the very first version of Persuasion that I ever read in my life, and this is the Hungarian version, and this is the one that I got from one of my friends, and her favorite author is Jane Austen, and this was the first Jane Austen that I ever read in my life, and because it was a gift from my friend, obviously I have a very special connection to this book and to the story. Now, my all-time favorite Jane Austen, if you've been around for a while, then you know that it is Pride and Prejudice. Yes, I am a basic like that. Nothing can beat Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy. It's just like not possible. So I cannot say that this book, when it comes to the quality, it's like Pride and Prejudice quality, but nonetheless, I still feel that this is a masterpiece, just like everything that Jane Austen writes. Now, for those of you who don't know, though, I feel like that it's impossible not to know, and I don't even understand why I am talking about a classic. But in this story, we follow Anne Elliot, who years ago decided to leave the man, the love of her life, because her family persuaded her to do so. And now, 6 years later, he reappears, and that's where basically our story begins. And I really like this book. I like the characters. I actually really like Anne's character, and I like how by the end of the book she gets to have some agency, because you know, back in those days when you went against your family, you completely depended on them, especially when you were a woman. So going against your family and making your own decision is definitely hard. But you know, she got some agency by the end of the book, and that was something that I definitely appreciated. I also watched some TV shows, movies that they made out of this book, and I gotta say that I really do not like the newest one, the newest one with, what's the actress's name? It's not about the actress, there's nothing wrong with the actress, I just didn't like this adaptation. What's her name? Dakota Fanning? Is that a name? It's a name, but I don't know if it's like an actress's name, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. I didn't like that adaptation. My favorite one was the, is it the 1997 one? I think. Wow, I am so prepared to film this update. Can you guys tell? Anyways, I will leave everything on the screen. I really like this story, and this is definitely a hit for me. I liked it. You cannot give me a Jane Austen that I don't like. When it comes to Trace of the Emerald Sea, however, I have different opinions, and I am so disappointed, guys, because I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's wrong with me. You guys know that I absolutely adored Warbreaker. It is one of my favorite fantasy books of all time. It's a masterpiece. And when I read that book, I thought to myself, I think I found a new favorite author. Like, the Brandon Sanderson hype is real. Give me all his books, and I still want to read Cosmere, every single book in the Cosmere. And that is why I finished this book. And that is the only reason why I finished this book, because I was super, super, super close to DNFing this book, because I found it, again, just insanely boring. And I am panicking a little bit because I didn't like this one. Also, I didn't really like Mistborn, but for different reasons. So I am panicking a little bit. If you're also somebody who didn't like Trace of the Emerald Sea, please reach out to me, because I am feeling not so good about it and not so good about the Cosmere future, okay? There were certain aspects of this book that I absolutely adored. Like, I adored Trace's character and her journey. I saw a little bit of myself in Trace's character, you know? She living on that island and then having the courage to venture outside of her little world, her little bubble, and discover the world around her, because there is like so much waiting for us if we have the courage to actually discover it, right? And I really like that commentary. And just like I said, I saw so much of myself in Trace's character, but everything else in this book, because this was an adventure story, it was so boring to me and I couldn't wait for it to end. I changed to the audiobook because it was available through Libby, and honestly, the narration was fantastic, but I couldn't connect to this book. I couldn't connect with this story. I must say though, that one thing that I cannot criticize, that is always Brandon Sanderson's world building, because how can you come up with an idea like this? Like, again, when we talked about Warbreaker and biochromatic breath, I'm like, oh my god, like, what are you talking about? Wow, it's so unique, never done before. And even with this book, I found the world so unique. We are on a planet, just for those of you who haven't read this book, but we are on a planet. We are starting out on Trace's little island that is in the middle of the Emerald Sea, but this sea does not consist of water, but of these spores that are actually super dangerous, because if water touches them, they sprout, they react to water, and the human body being made up mostly of water, this is something that's super dangerous. Like, for example, when you cry and then you come in contact with a spore, that had like very unfortunate consequences. And I find this so interesting. I just couldn't connect with this book. I finished it. I pushed through it. I'm not sure whether it was a good idea or not, because I feel like I am getting a little bit slumpy. Like, right now, I am really not in the mood to pick up any other books, which are like not the best. But at least I finished this book. I cannot wait to get to the Stormlight archives, because I am not giving up on Brandon Sanderson. Thank you for your contribution to today's video. One hit, one miss, but that's okay. At least it wasn't a DNF. It's fine. But just like I said, I have no idea what we're picking up next. So in the next clip, probably I will show you the books that we will continue reading in today's vlog. Well, guys, I'm sick. I'm sick. I have COVID. Yeah. And everything hurts. Mostly my head and my eyes, weirdly. And also my joints, my wrists. I have fever, and my symptoms have not even peaked yet. I know exactly what's about to come, and I am not looking forward to it. But because of my headache and because, again, my eyes, I don't think I will get any reading done physically. I just don't think it's possible. So I'm gonna go to Libby and try to find some audiobooks that are available there. because I'm sick and also because of stress, because stress, again, with all honesty, just put me into a little bit of a reading slump. Like right now, I'm just really struggling with what to do and what to read, but I cannot leave the house for like, I don't know, 5 to 7 days, and I have to do something with myself. So I will try to find a couple of audiobooks that I can hopefully focus on. So again, a slight change in plans. Welcome to my channel. Well, hello back, you guys. It's been about a week now, and I am mostly through the entire thing. My throat still hurts, and I am still not fever-free, at least not without medication, but I am feeling so much better, and I am so glad that this time I didn't have any serious complications, because 2 years ago, the very first time when I had it, I had a very serious like sinus infection, and also it was very hard on my lung, and luckily, like, you know, touch wood, none of those things happened this time, so I'm very happy. But still, I was like sick as a dog. Okay, anyways, I am getting through it, and I read 3 books while I was recovering, because, again, with all honesty, like, I couldn't really do anything else but just like listen to audiobooks and listen to music and listen to podcasts and just, you know, try to do something to myself. Anyways, and I am so surprised, because all these 3 books, these were all thrillers, and you guys know that I don't really read thrillers. Of course I do every now and then, but it's not really my main genre. It's not something that I enjoy very much. But I guess that because I was in a little bit of a slump, and because of my headache, and just, you know, in general, I was in a funk, I needed kind of like fast-paced stories. So I ended up listening to these 3 books. I got them all from Libby. I do not have the physical copy, but honestly, I think I will buy the physical copy for 2 of these books, because they were so good, and nobody's more surprised than I am. So let's just talk about the books now. But I also want to do just a little bit of skincare, because my skin is not doing so great right now. I mean, my entire life is not doing so great right now. But anyways, no reason to complain, no reason to complain. So I just want to show you this thing, guys, because this is one of the most beautiful packaging I had ever seen in my life for skincare. I am obsessed with this Korean brand, Pyunkangul, and this is one of their line, like a black tea anti-aging line or whatever, and the packaging is so beautiful. Like, can you like see it? It's insane. Anyways, these are like some eye patches that I need to put on, and now let's just dive into the books, and I am going to discuss them in the order I read them. I just get, I look like a raccoon. Sorry guys, I had to do the entire thing off camera because these patches keep coming off, and I want to keep them in this position because my skin here in this area is really dry, and I want them to cover it. Anyway, so I will be just marinating here in this mask while I'm talking to you. The very first book that I finished, that was Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney, and oh my god, this was such a good book. This is not my first book by Alice Feeney, because I also read Daisy Darker and I also like that book, but this one so much better. It's insanely good. It takes place in the winter in February in Scotland, and a married couple, they don't like each other. Their marriage is kind of like in a trouble, and they decided just to go on a romantic getaway. It was actually the wife who won this romantic getaway, and their accommodation is kind of like an old chapel, and when they arrive, a lot of creepy things start happening, and I think that this book has such a fantastic atmosphere. And a twist on all of these things is that the husband has face blindness, and this is actually a very important element in the story, and I freaking adored it. I freaking adored this book. I think I finished this book in one day, and I think it took like 6 hours to listen to the audiobook because it was so insanely fantastic. I couldn't put it down. I wanted to know what was happening, and genuinely it creeped me out a little bit. But again, I don't really read that many thrillers and horrors, so I guess like I am not trained to read these books. So again, I guess that I just get scared a little bit easier than those readers who read thrillers and horrors all the time. But this was so good, and I will read other books from Alice Sweeney, that is 100% sure. And then the next book that I read, and I cannot believe that this is something I did, guys, but I read a Frida McFadden book. Never Lie. And honestly, it was not a bad experience. It was not a good experience, but it was not a bad experience. I still aggressively disagree with the writing style of this author because I still think that she writes as a toddler, but also she's not a writer. I think she's like a psychiatrist or psychotherapist or something like that. That is her like proper like occupation, and then she just writes on the side. But now finishing this book, I think I understand why people like her, because it is a very easy popcorn thriller that basically you can read in 4 hours. And this particular story, Never Lie, this is something that definitely kept me going, kept me reading, and I was actually interested to figure out what was going on. And partially I was able to figure out, but not fully, not completely. And I also really like the ending in this book. And this book is very similar to the Alice Sweeney one in a sense that it is winter, it is snowing very heavily, and a young couple is going to an open house, but it's kind of like a remote location, and then the agent just never shows up. They decided to go into the house, and then they kind of get trapped there, and they are uncovering secrets about the person who lived previously in that house, who was a psychotherapist. And they also have their own secrets that us, the readers, are uncovering as the story progresses. And again, I think it was fairly good. It is not a literary masterpiece, but after reading this book, again, I think I get it now why people read this and why people need this easy writing, easy stories. And then last and least, I read The Guest List by Lucy Foley, and this was something that I didn't like. I didn't like this book, and I should have known, because I tried to read The Hunting Party from her, and I think that was in one of my previous vlogs, and you guys know that I DNF'd that book because I didn't like it. And this book had similar elements, and I was kind of like 50% in listening to it when I was like, I kind of really feel like I want to DNF the entire book. But then I was like, you know what, this book is incredibly hype. I want to know what the hype is about. I very rarely read this genre, so let's just catch up with all the different books that are so popular, because they must be popular for a reason. So I finished this book, but I really did not like it. And just like The Hunting Party, this has kind of like a similar setting, because it's about a wedding that takes place on a remote Irish island. And I like the atmosphere of the island. And it's about a friend group who goes there because their friends are getting married, right? And then we uncover a lot of secrets that these people hold from each other. And I guess, again, like, the reason why I didn't like The Hunting Party is because of the people and because of the friendship, because there was no authentic friendship in that book, and there is no authentic friendship in this book either. And now I am beginning to think that maybe that is exactly what Lucy Foley intended, to show us how incredibly fake and superficial these people are with each other, and this is not exactly friendship. Maybe, I don't know. But I saw certain things coming, not everything, but I saw certain things coming except the ending. And I didn't really enjoy this. I think Rock, Paper, Scissors and even Never Lie, I think I can recommend it to you guys, especially again if you're not like a very experienced thriller reader, because I think that these books were great. And these books cool me down a little bit, because do you see a theme here? Winter, cold, snowing, except the guest list, so I just use them to cool me down a little bit. Anyways, these are the three thrillers that I finished, and ultimately I count it in my little head as a success. So there you go. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Anyways, let's move on. I think that the book I want to pick up next is What Happens in Amsterdam, which is the newest Rachel Lynn Solomon release. I'm really looking forward to it because I really like this author. I think I've read almost all of her books. I'm looking at my bookshelf now, and I think I've read almost all of her books, and I really like them. So I'm reading this. I mean, come on, it takes place in Amsterdam, and based on the cover, I think that we will go and get to see the tulip fields, and that's like one of my dream destinations. The Netherlands in general is one of my dream destinations because I really want to see the windmills and I really want to see the tulip fields one day. So I cannot do it this spring, but I will travel there using this book, okay? So this is the one I think I will pick up next. And also I am still reading the Let Them Theory, and slowly but surely I am getting through that book, and I cannot tell you guys that I love it. I cannot say that. I don't think it's a hit, but I still have like about 30% to go, so we'll see if the book is able to turn it around, but I don't think so. Anyways, I will just keep marinating in this thing, and when I finished those two books, I will pop back in and I will give you guys probably the last update in today's vlog. Things are not going super well right now, guys, because I feel like I am this close to a complete burnout. Because of that, I decided to put off reading for a while. I don't know, like maybe for 2 weeks, at least 10 to 12 days. This is like totally intentional. I don't want to, get into a reading slump, and definitely not in a complete burnout, because that's usually hard on me, and things are so crazy at work anyways that I will probably be working the weekends in the upcoming weeks, so I will not really have time to read anyways. But I did start this book, and I also almost finished the Let Them Theory, and I think that it is part of the problem, but I don't like these books. I really don't like the Let Them Theory. I will review it properly, and I also don't really like this book, which is such a disappointment, and it's got nothing to do with my burnout slump. You call it whatever you want to call it, but I decided to take a break before it gets more severe. So that's the situation. I will update you guys about everything in the next clip. I'm back, you guys. I am back to reading, and I am back to the channel, and I am ready to give you the final update basically in today's video, because I did finish both of these books that I have been talking about for quite a while now in this video and in this vlog. So let's just wrap it up. And first I want to talk about the Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins, and how to do this, because I don't want to hold it. I'm weak. I don't want to hold it, so let me just try maybe this. Is it working? Yeah, let's do that. So this book, I didn't like it, but I told you guys that I don't like this book. I just wanted to finish it. And I think that my biggest problem with this book because I have so many. Okay, like it was not that bad because again, I finished it, and if it was like a toxic book, that I wouldn't have finished it. So there's like nothing like dangerous about this book. But I think the problem to me is that this book had, I feel, a really good PR and really good marketing behind it, because I'm pretty sure that this book was sold, like it says that, oh, it's a life-changing tool, this led them theory, and I'm pretty sure that somewhere on the back of the book or on the internet I read that, oh my god, it's like a revolutionary idea or whatever, and it's not. There is absolutely nothing revolutionary about this book or what this book presents, because the let them theory, this is something that has been around for a very long time. It's all about, like, you know, realizing that you are the one who controls your life. You just let other people be them. It's not about you. Don't take things personally most of the time, and you cannot control other people, what other people do and think and what they say, but you can control yourself, your reactions, your action, your thoughts, and your feelings. Basically, that's what the entire book is about. And it was a nice reminder, you know, reading the book, and it is full with the authors and her family's personal experiences. And again, it was just a nice reminder, but that's what it was. This book didn't teach me anything. And when I pick up a self-help nonfiction, I personally expect to learn something new, and I kind of feel like I felt for the marketing. And one thing that really annoyed me, and I'm actually going to mention this, is the reference in the book and the different research that the author mentions. And I think I did, like, I marked something in the book. So let me just like open it up. It's just hard because I'm working with one hand. But yeah, like it starts on like page 59 when the author, I feel, first mentions like somebody called Dr. Aditi Nerurkar, who is a physician at Harvard Medical School and the author of The 5 Resets. It's a book, and in the reference section in the book, she does mention this book, and she mentions that she interviewed this lady, and then she mentions the research of this Dr. Nerurkar throughout the book, but we never have references like throughout the book. Yeah, we have like references table at the end of the book, and she references herself quite a lot in this book, but no like footnotes and no like proper references throughout the book. So if you find something interesting about research, you really have to put in the work to find a reference, and I don't like that. Like when I find something interesting and if I want to look it up, I just want the author to make it clear and make it easy for me. And I don't know why this is. Maybe it's also because I do quite a lot of academic reading and also a lot of academic writing, and this is not the reference style that I like. So I don't know, it kind of felt like a little bit like lazy and sloppish to do that. And there were times when I personally felt like that the author was just not believing in me and not believing that I'm smart enough that I can make my own conclusions. You know, just give me the research, give me the results of that research, and you know, I can make my own conclusions. But maybe that's just like, you know, something personal, and I shouldn't take it personally. I should just let the author be the author, and like, whatever, let's not go there. Unfortunately, it didn't work for me, and I cannot recommend this book to you guys. This is very expensive, new release hardback, and honestly, nothing revolutionary. If you maybe because I haven't checked, but maybe I will after this video or after I film this clip, I will look it up on YouTube. But if you just type in the let them theory, maybe you can find like, I don't know, a 10 minutes long video that will explain everything to you about this. So yeah, I don't personally recommend it. And when it comes to the other book, this beautiful book, because look at that cover. This will be, I want to say, easily one of my favorite covers, if not the favorite cover of 2025, because this looks just so amazing. Oh my god, let me just change my hand, because wow, this camera is heavy. So what happens in Amsterdam? Well, this was again, changing my hands. This was an okay experience. I expected more from this book, and I don't think that this will be my favorite Rachel Lynn Solomon. Oh my god, I'm sorry. I'm sorry guys if I'm like making you dizzy and nauseous with like changing the camera, but anyways. So this is not my favorite. It was like an average reading experience. It was okay, but again, I expected a little bit more from Rachel Lynn Solomon. I didn't really like the story. I'm somebody who's a sucker for the marriage of convenience trope, and that's what basically this book is, but somehow it just didn't work for me. But there were a couple of really good things about this book. But now let's discuss the plot, because I never told you guys about the plot. So our main female character in this book is Danny Dorfman. Yeah, I didn't remember her last name, but she's an American girl living in LA, and then she breaks up with her boyfriend, and they work at the same place. So now she also needs a new job, and then she finds a new job in Amsterdam. So she moves to Amsterdam, and that's how the entire book starts. And she starts new life and a new job, and then she runs into a guy named Wouter, and I think that's how you pronounce it. Wouter, because I don't want to say Wouter, because that's obviously not his name. I think it's Wouter von Leuven. If anybody out there who's watching this vlog is Dutch or speaks Dutch or whatever, feel free to correct me in the comment section, but I think it's Wouter von Leuven. I think so. Anyways, Wouter, and she knows Wouter because in a student exchange program when she was very young, she was a teenager, then Wouter moved to the United States, and her family took care of him as a student, but then he basically ghosted her and moved back to the Netherlands. They had a little bit of something going on, but again, he ghosted her, moved back to the Netherlands, basically breaking Danny's heart. And now they meet again in a bike accident, and then certain things happen, and the story picks up from there. And like, I didn't really like the story, I didn't really like the characters, and I didn't really like the plot itself. But there was one thing that was so positive about this book, and that was like, as the book starts out, the author, I don't know if she did her research or maybe she herself like moved around in the world, even internationally, but like, you know, the book starts out with Danny moving to the Netherlands and like not knowing anything about the cultures and the customs, and just having her bags and her shit around the apartment, but she doesn't really know how to set up anything in her life, and like, you know, how scary these situations can be, but also how liberating these situations can be. And it was fun, and as somebody who's never been to the Netherlands, it was actually so interesting to me to learn about certain things, like for example when it comes to renting an apartment, because did you guys know that in Amsterdam when you rent an apartment, then you are basically like expected to have your own floor, like wooden floor. Like when you move into the apartment, you put down your own floor, and then when you move to another one, you just take it up and you take it with you. I just didn't know that it was a thing. I've been all over the world, okay, and that's just, I never encountered that. So that was like so funny to me. And also they talk about a lot of like Dutch food in Amsterdam and how everything is fried, and like fried donut and fried cheese balls and whatever. And this book made me so hungry, and I was like, I want to go to Amsterdam, and they mention it a lot that Amsterdam is the wheat capital, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but have you been to Boston? Come on, Danny, you're an American girl. Have you been to Boston? Anyways, I did find myself smiling, like, you know, when these things happened in the book, but unfortunately it just couldn't deliver. There was a lot of miscommunication between the characters, and that's just something that I hate. I really don't like, and I don't like necessarily the character arcs, though there were certain things happening to Danny's character, and like she really coming to her powers and whatnot that I did like. Is just collectively, when I finished the book, I was still left a little bit like empty. I just wanted more, but I feel like that maybe just, again, the expectations were too high because I like most of her books, and I'm looking at my bookshelf now because I really liked The X Talk, The Weather Girl. Business or Pleasure was not my favorite. I think this one is better than Business or Pleasure, but it's not as good as Weather Girl. I think that one is my favorite. So if you never read anything by Rachel Lynn Solomon, then maybe try Weather Girl. Anyways, guys, I think that I will leave off this vlog and this little reading challenge here because this is now the end of May. I cannot believe it. I have been filming this vlog for almost 3 months now. Wow. Just wow. This is one of my favorite challenges on YouTube. I really like to do it because if somebody like buys books as frequently as I do, and you know, when you build like a massive physical TBR, then you know, you gotta read it. Life cannot be just all about buying books. Anyways, you guys hit share, like, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. I have a lot of fun bookish videos coming up, well, in the summer now specifically, and while you're waiting for those videos, I will leave a couple of my other videos on the screen for you to check out, probably here and here, and I will see you guys soon in an upcoming video. Bye!